Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from News about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Coming up this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Organized labor unwavering in its decision to proceed with its planned protest over the implementation of the VAT on electricity consumption. Even though government has issued a statement suspending the said VAT on electricity, we'll give you details of organized labor's latest position after that statement from the finance ministry here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, it is emerging that weeks prior to the death of a student in a Brigel Senior High School, the Parents Association had expressed concerns over the state of the health facilities in that particular school. Now, the deceased parents are in shock and in the mood of sadness as expected. We've been interacting with them here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. A number of you parents have also been sharing your experience with some of the senior high schools and the health facilities there. We'll delve into this matter here on Hot Edition. Also a grant but to herald the return of looted Asante artifacts from the United Kingdom held at Mensha Palace in Kumasi. Later in business, Ghana Revenue Authority debunks claims of auctioning Cocobot's agrochemicals due to unpaid imports. We'll give you details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Plus, reactions after Dr. Mahmoud Obamia's presentation adoring his vision as flag bearer of the NPP yesterday. All these and more. As always, we're live on 3news.com. Also on Facebook, we're streaming live right now. You can share your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions on the issue we'll be talking about here on Hot Edition. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome. Let's get into the details now as organized labor remains unwavering in its decision to proceed with its planned protest over the implementation of the proposed 15% VAT on electricity consumption, despite the government's suspension of the 15% value-added tax on electricity consumption. Organized labor says it will go ahead with its planned nationwide demonstration. According to the unions, they expect a total withdrawal of the tax and not its suspension. The Finance Ministry on Wednesday directed the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, to suspend the implementation of the proposed VAT on electricity consumption. Labour had announced a series of measures starting with the posting of red bands at offices across the country and the staging of a demonstration on February 13. Bernard Ajay is a General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union. He spoke earlier today to my colleague and our Chief Labour Correspondent, Daniel Opoku.
And if you recall, our demands are very simple. Our demand is that the Minister of Finance should, just as he signed a letter to instruct or direct ECG and NEDCO to charge 15% VAT on non-life consumers of electricity, he should use the same approach. He should write to withdraw, and that is what our demand was in our statement. Now, what has come out, I hear is a press release by a public affairs unit. I don't know if we are being told that now in the Ministry of Finance, the public affairs unit wields more power to overturn or override a directive given under the signature and on the letterhead of the Ministry of Finance, signed by the minister himself. I'm sorry. We should stop playing with words. We should stop this political propaganda, this media gimmick. It won't take anybody anywhere. And it will not resolve the crisis the country finds itself in.
So you just heard that Bernard J is General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union, and so that's the position that Labour has taken. That regardless of this statement from the Finance Ministry indicating a decision to cancel this, to suspend, beg your pardon, this VAT on electricity, they are saying that that is not enough to have them change their position on going on this nationwide demonstration on this matter. Let's get onto the telephone now. And Patrick Tete is the chairman of the Greater Accra Regional Council of Labour of TUC. He's joining us. Mr. Tete, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, my brother.
So it's quite clear now that regardless of this decision, in fact, as communicated in a statement by the Finance Ministry, that government has decided to suspend the implementation of this VAT on electricity. It has in no way convinced you to back down on this nationwide process, has it?
Yeah, thank you very much. And sorry to make a correction. The name is Patrick Tete Binyemi.
Binyemi.
Yeah, Binyemi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There are two issues here. There is a difference between suspension and withdrawal. When you look at the letter that the national leadership wrote to government, we simply requested a total withdrawal. Government now is telling us that he's suspending the discussions, he's suspending the implementation until he fully engages stakeholders, especially organized labor. What we want now is government should simply tell us that, okay, organized labor, the decision has totally been withdrawn. And we are good to go. If that is not done, as mentioned in our press statement today, we are fully going ahead with our planned demonstration on Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2024.
So it is not a suspension, it's a total withdrawal of this VAT on electricity. That's the demand of labor.
Exactly. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple. Why should government consider probably going to tax domestic consumers of electricity of 15%? Already our conditions in the country has worsened. And you are asking somebody to pay a tax of 15% on domestic electricity consumption. It's unbearable. Look at the number of taxes we are paying. Even till now, we pay taxes on COVID. It's there, it's reflecting, and we cannot bear witness to it. Are we still in COVID era? Yet, we are enduring it. And now you want to introduce another one on domestic consumption?
So they are talking about some engagement. This suspension is pending further engagement with you, organized labor. Now, do you have any idea of when this engagement is going to take place and whether organized labor is actually going to honor this invitation for an engagement on this matter?
The request is simple: total withdrawal. Suspending to engage organized labor on what? To reintroduce different modalities in achieving same results? No, it's a total withdrawal. From the word go, our interest is a total withdrawal. It is not easy. Somebody takes, let's use 10 Ghana cedis. Example, 10 Ghana cedis to the vendor to buy electricity. At the end of the month, a service charge is taken out of these 10 cedis, probably 1 cedi, meaning you have 9 cedis remaining. Now, government is taxing 15% on these 9 cities. Do the simple calculation. 15% of 9 cities. And see how much at the end of the day, our worker, that poor worker, who is being hit hard with the implementation of this decision, is paying for electricity consumed domestically.
So it's quite clear that even if with this engagement, Labour is not even considering any form of engagement on this matter with the Finance Ministry.
Our interest is, we have done the engagements.
Right.
We have made our position clear to the ministry and to government that we want a total withdrawal. We shouldn't be playing around with. Look at what is happening. Government couldn't even communicate to organized labor on this issue, but resorted to print and social media in sending this information. And so we have to do this press conference today, and something that has been cited this evening that they have written to organized labor. Our interest is a total withdrawal. If not, between now and next Tuesday, God willing, we are going ahead with our planned demonstration. And on that day, it's really going to be great. We are expecting the numbers. All commercial drivers within Accra here are going to be part of the demonstration, actually from the morning to whenever we are going to finish, starting from the Obra Sports Circle through the Kojo Thompson Road, we turn left to Parisco TUC traffic light, to Professor John Evans Atamils High Street, then to the Independence Square. So no commercial vehicle will work on that day.
The Patrick Tete, maybe thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Patrick Tete Nyamibi is chair of the Greater Accra Regional Council of Labour of the Trade Union Congress, TUC. You just heard them. So that's quite clear. The position of Labour on this matter, they're resolute. That beyond this statement from the Public Relations Unit of the Finance Ministry communicating the decision by government to suspend the implementation of the VAT on electricity consumption by residential customers, they say they want a total abolition of it. They want it to be dropped and not suspended. In fact, if you look at the details of this statement from the Finance Ministry PR unit, which we have a copy of, we'll put on the screen shortly for those of you who are watching us on Facebook, it reads, reference is made to the Ministry of Finance's letter to the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NETCO, on the above subject of the implementation of the VAT on electricity consumption by residential customers dated 12th December 2023, as well as the Ministry of Finance press statement on the subject issued on the 30th of January 2024. On behalf of the government, Ministry of Finance would like to inform ECG and NETCO to suspend the implementation of the VAT directive pending further engagement with key stakeholders, including organized labor. The ministry expects that these engagements will birth innovative, robust, and inclusive approaches to bridging the existing fiscal gap whilst bolstering economic resilience. So this is a statement that was issued minutes after Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also made a promise that if he is voted into power as that's the president of Ghana after December 7, and assumes power in 2025, the VAT on electricity, which this government, which he is part of, is going to implement or intends to implement, he is going to abolish that as part of a number of taxes that he promised that he is going to abolish if he assumes the reins of this country as president. Now, there are fundamental questions that were asked as to why he was not going to do that or impress on government that he is the vice president of not to go ahead with the implementation of this VAT on electricity. But he's made it a promise that, look, if I become president, rather, but not being the vice president now, I will abolish the VAT on electricity. Then, minutes after that statement, this press release from the Finance Ministry came through communicating the suspension and not the abolition, the suspension of this VAT on electricity. Let's take a listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on this promise that he made.
With the policy measures implemented so far, We have outperformed the IMF fiscal deficit target of 5% by attaining a fiscal deficit target of 4.2% in 2023. The new policies that I am proposing to implement in 2025 will give us the fiscal space to eliminate some taxes, such as the proposed VAT on electricity, if they are still on the books, the emissions tax, and the betting tax, without compromising our fiscal deficit.
Well, so that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there, talking about this as a promise, when Labour is demanding that it should be abolished now. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia talked about that being a promise for 2025. Setabloso is a Labour expert. So hearing the Vice President and even the details of the statement from the Finance Ministry about this, suspending this VAT on electricity, it certainly hasn't made any much of a difference for Labour, at least from what we're hearing now, isn't it?
Yes, good evening, Alfred. It's interesting. As it stands now, that law has not been implemented. So the Finance Ministry says that it has suspended action, has asked the ECG and NED to suspend action on that. It's worth noting. It said that they're going to meet stakeholders on it. I think it's important to see how that process goes. But to talk of abolition means repeal of the law. It will require repeal of the law. And that one, the current parliament can do it. The current parliament can repeal that law. So there is nothing. And the Vice President is advised from the point of the economic management team, which he chairs, to deal with it that way, to ensure that the President constituted repeals that law. That will be fine. Then such a new task will not be a matter to talk about at all.
So your point is that is not one that can wait till, or it's not as though nothing can be done about this until 2025.
No, yes. It can be repealed from the high office of Vice President. He can prevail on his government to repeal that law which they did not pass, but are only taking advance. And that is a critical nuisance tax that should not be tolerated in the economy. So they better be advised to have that law repealed. It's important to repeal that law now. It's a critical nuisance tax. But also, Labour leadership needs to be advised that they've left undone what they should be talking about. And by that I mean a recommendation by the Yan Chairman Bedu Committee on the 71 office holders, which urged government to take urgent steps to address the wide gap between the lowest paid and the highest paid public servants, towards addressing the disparities in salaries in the public sector, to ensure that the workers in the public sector live in dignity. This recommendation was made in June 2020. Surprisingly, government has gone silent on that recommendation as it relates to public sector workers. But what is for government persons, Article 71 office holders, the president and the rest, they have taken, and some have taken more than was recommended. But that is a recommendation that I'll be surprised if Labour leadership say they don't know about. And they should be on the rooftops trumpeting action on that recommendation.
We'll see how things play out. And Mrs. Adabloso is a labor expert. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And after this statement from or by the Vice President, or the flag bearer of the MPP, as a matter of fact, as part of the number of promises that he made, it was that promise of the elimination of some taxes, such as the VAT on electricity, which Labour is asking that it should be abolished now and not 2025. When the Vice President, he says if he becomes president, he would abolish. And then he talks about the emissions tax and then also the tax on betting. But bear in mind as well that these are taxes that were introduced by a government that he is vice president of. So there are fundamental questions asked about why that cannot be done now, but the Ghanaian people would have to wait till 2025 before this decision is taken.
With the policy measures implemented so far, we have outperformed the IMF fiscal deficit target of 5%. By attaining a fiscal deficit target of 4.2% in 2023. The new policies that I am proposing to implement in 2025 will give us the fiscal space to eliminate some taxes, such as the proposed VAT on electricity, if they are still on the books, the emissions tax, and the betting tax, without compromising our fiscal deficit.
So I asked Professor John Gachu, the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, whether or not these taxes that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia talks about that he would abolish if he becomes president, VAT on electricity, emissions, and betting tax, cannot be removed now. And also taking into consideration the fact that these taxes were introduced because under the IMF program, government is expected to improve on internal revenue generation. And so these taxes were promulgated and implemented by government to improve on tax revenue in this country as part of the measures under this IMF program that's improving on macroeconomic stability. So in 2025, we're still going to be under the IMF program. So how will that be achieved when all of these promises of abolishing these taxes have been made? And then also bearing in mind that these taxes also went through the economic management team that the Vice President is chair of. And this is what Professor John Gachi had to say.
Not only about whether they are feasible or not, that they deepen credibility issues for the Vice President and for the government of Ghana, the MPP government. This is the way the policies are developed and published to the public and implemented. So for tax policies, Finance Ministry will fine-tune whatever the policies are. Then it will be sent to economic management team with Dr. Bawumia in the chair. Then he will approve all those things that he's talking about. Then the policies will go to cabinet for deliberation. Dr. Bawumia will be the number 2 person in cabinet, approve everything, then it will be on its way to Parliament. Parliament will debate it and approve it. How do you believe somebody who sits in all these processes, approve all these things, then come to the public and say that I will abolish, I will abolish, I will abolish? He is only thinking about how to win election and allow those things to continue. I'm not sure he has what it takes to abolish that. That would not sync well with the IMF program, and that does not also sync well with his own belief and understanding in those policies. So it is something that we should just wish away. It's just some statement we have just heard, and then it should pass through the other ear and go. That is not the truth. It creates a lot of credibility problem for the government. It creates credibility problem for the Vice President.
IMF program, when I just made reference to, which is captured on this website, the 3 key objectives of this IMF program we are on. is macroeconomic stability, and embedded in there is revenue generation. That's why we've seen these tax measures put in place. And the IMF not too long ago indicated that government should follow through with all the indicators to ensure the consolidation of the growth that we are beginning to see. And this program is not ending in 2024. It's going to go into 2025. So even taking into consideration the IMF's program that we are on now, can these taxes be abolished under the program, considering the IMF's own expectations?
I think those taxes that are being put forward, that is the belief of the president, the belief of the finance minister, and the belief of the vice president, and the belief of the governor of the Bank of Ghana. That is what they think they can put together to salvage the economy. That is what they believe in. So if to say that I think I will, in fact, he should be exiting the government before speaking against all those policies as though he's not part and central part of the formulation of the policies. So I do not think that you should put premium on the statement he has made. We should rather be questioning the credibility about the vice president's statement. It is not credible. It doesn't show that he's part of the team. And if he's not part of the team, he should be exiting. And in any case, the president severally has indicated that he brought him to the ticket because he wants him to fix the economy. He wants to be at the forefront of the economy. He himself has arranged a lot of media engagement to indicate how solid the economic management is supervising and coordinating activities.
That's Professor John Gachi, the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School there, and a lot of reactions as well coming from many of you here also watching us on Facebook, 3FM 927, also listening to us right now in Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. And Ni Atukwe Okwe says that the gentleman who told us he will fix the economy is now showing us how he's going to also confuse the system we are building when we help him break the 8. And Lawrence Kwame Edu-Ado says, why is he waiting for him to come to power before the abolishing of e-levy? We have seen some before, he says, and says he's following the footsteps of his boss. And let's still stay a bit further with issues that Dr. Mahmoud Mabia talked about, because there have been mixed reactions to the announcement of the flag bearer of the MPP and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to make national service non-mandatory. That means optional for graduates if elected president. In his vision for Ghana, Dr. Bawumia emphasized the need to rethink the current national service scheme to aid youth employment. But some students believe this would not help them gain the requisite knowledge and skills needed on the job market. But this is what Dr. Bawumia said with regards to national service.
My government will propose that those who, after completion of their education, can secure jobs will be exempted from national service. National service will no longer be mandatory, and students will have the option to decide whether to do national service or not. This will also encourage companies to go to the campuses to recruit annually. This time they don't go because of national service.
Well, so that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. And the reason why he is going to make national service optional or non-mandatory. This is the reaction of some of the students we spoke to on the campus of the University of Ghana, Legon, earlier today.
In the University of Ghana, for instance, maybe I'm not from Accra, maybe I'm from, let's say, Kumasi. I want to be here. So that means out of the 715, I have to pay rent from that money, make some expenditures, like, because I have to get some food stuff that will keep me up before I can go with my national service. So I think it's a nice idea, if only it is optional, because when you step out, you can do other things in order to earn a living.
I think it's not a very good idea, because when you complete school, that you have to get some knowledge about the company. That's the national service for 1 year. I think he should resign that idea so that it will help with the incoming future leaders.
To make it optional, I don't think it's a good idea because right now it's compulsory, so everybody is forced to do it. They go about doing it, which helps in serving the country.
The national service isn't supposed to be optional because on the field of work, there are lots of experiences and opportunities that one can, embrace him or herself with.
I've never been into national service before, but then my colleagues who've been in it, they've been telling me that, they have problems with the salary and stuff like that, challenges, and so if it's optional and you have to decide, then it's okay.
National service idea, it's a very, very good idea because it gives us the needed skills, it gives us working experience. But in a situation whereby they are not giving us financial assistance, it's really, really difficult. Sometimes some of our parents, every day they complain that they have taken care of us, we have completed the university, now it's time for us to work, and then we are always coming to them to ask for money. It's really, really a struggle.
The fees that we are paying in school now, it has been subsidized down for us to pay them. When we say we are paying the actual amount that we are supposed to pay, we'll be paying more than the amount we have been paying in school. So I think it's a thank you for us to serve the government after we are done with school.
So these are some of the students also reacting to this. Dr. Peter Patanti, Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, is joining us for a quick conversation on this. This decision to make national service non-mandatory. You're in the education space. Really, what's your thought on this, Dr. Anti?
I think that we're going to have a lot of these conversations as we enter into December. We are happy to wait for the full manifesto document from the party to come up. I highly suspect that by the time that the team is put together to think through some of these ideas, most of these things might not end up in the manifesto of the party. And I say this because you first have to ask yourself, what is this policy position trying to solve? If you listen to the vice president, he's trying to suggest that because of national service, companies are not able to recruit students to work with. But is that the case? I don't think that is the case. I think that the national service is an avenue for people to even gain some practical experience, because we know that in our educational system, most of the things that we do here, hardly do you get the internship kind of practice to be able to map up with the theoretical aspect that you are learning. Right. So people gain a lot of practical hands-on experience using the national service. So if you're going to scrap it, or you're going to make it not mandatory, it means that people would finish school and they can decide not to do the national service. But the question is, would there be employment readily available for them to access? Is the vice president suggesting that because of national service, companies are not able to employ these graduates because the jobs are available there, but it's because of the national service that the companies are not employing these people? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And even more specifically, this would defeat the purpose of the policy position of the National Teaching Council. Because the National Teaching Council believes that after you graduated from your College of Education or your education teacher training program, you need to serve a mandatory 1-year probation period. So when you graduate, you are given a probationary license and you are supposed to do a mandatory 1-year national service.
It's a very important point that you make there, and that also brings up another perspective to this matter. Dr. Peter Patanti, thank you so much for your input on this one here on Hot Edition as Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFES. Let's still stay a bit further issues of education, because it is emerging that weeks prior to the death of a student in a Brick Girls Senior High School, the Parents Association of that school had expressed concern about the state of health facilities in the school. The family of the deceased student has in the last few days been calling for a full-scale investigation into the death of their daughter, Stacey Ochre, a Form 1 student of a Brick Girls Senior High School who was admitted to the school only a month ago, died under very, very questionable circumstances on February 4. The family says the inaction of the school caused the death of their daughter. Father of the student, Kingsley Otre, says his daughter, who is also his first child, had no underlying health conditions and wants the school to provide some more details in terms of the circumstances that leading to her death on the 4th of February. This is Kingsley Otre in this somber mood talking to my colleague Judith Brown.
Minya call say yes me bayare.
I received a call that my child was sick, so I should come for him. I used 34 minutes. When I got there, my child was on the floor and was unconscious. My wife screamed and cried, asking us to rush to the hospital. I was so shocked and became weak all of a sudden. I carried my child and my friend drove us. I kept blowing air in her mouth whilst on the road.
Doctors and this. When a doctor could be team.
When we got there, the doctor said she was dead on arrival.
Hey,
so why did they take my child's health insurance when she was enrolled? Why didn't the house mistress take my child to the hospital? So if I was not at Bolibam Boy, I would have to drive all the way just to take my child to the hospital.
Hey!
The school has killed my child. They had the guts to sit me down and tell me they will buy the coffin and provide an ambulance. If I didn't have money, would I have brought my child to school?
Very germane questions that the father of the deceased Brigel Senior High School former student Stacey Otre, that's Kingsley Otre you just heard there, and my colleague Judith Brown, who's been following this story right from the get-go, is with us in the studio. Judith, it's good to have you. I mean, even for people who are listening right now, cannot hold themselves together and the emotions at play listening to this. But you were there with them, you sat before them, you could connect with their emotions.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about the concerns that their parents had, especially about whether the child had underlying health conditions or not.
Right, and so I believe it was a very somber mood right there in that home, and it wasn't just him. His wife was seated, other family members had gathered, and it wasn't good. It wasn't easy for them at all. Tears, just sharing their emotions. This is his first child, basically, and so it's something that has really hit him very hard. Now, they have said time and again that their child has no underlying health conditions. And this is what they confirmed to me. In fact, they asked that I go to her former school, that is where she completed her junior high school, to verify from them if their child was regularly getting sick. And when I did that, I actually went to that school and they told me that no, she wasn't the child to even get sick. They've not even had a health issue with her ever since she's been there from 2 years old till she graduated. And so they know that she's not someone who has a health condition that would have led to such a situation. And so probably it definitely would come from something that happened right there in Ebrigel Senior High School. Those were the allegations they were making. But yes, they have denied her having any underlying health conditions.
You visited the Brigel Senior High School as well?
Yes, I did.
Now, what did you gather there?
Right, it was a roller coaster of a ride there. I mean, I got there at around 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon yesterday. I was there till about 5 p.m. They were just sending me up and down.
Nobody wanted to talk to you?
No, they didn't want to talk. I went to the assistant headmaster, and when I put the case before him, I explained to him that, look, we need to get a response from the school. But just so you know, if you do not give us a response, we are still going to tell the story anyways. And he denied talking to us, and he says that this should be done by the headmistress of the school, who was out briefly and would come back. We waited for hours and she never came. We kept being told she was at one place or the other. Everyone, different people had different places she was at that point. And I felt like they probably knew really what was happening, just didn't want to talk. And so it was very difficult for us getting any response from them. We tried. I even called the house mistress that is alleged to have been at the center of the entire issue. And in fact, this was the question I put to her. Are you the house mistress of Edinburgh House at Abri Girls? And all of a sudden, she started coughing on the phone, saying she has a cold, she can't talk. And I said, you might as well just tell me what, yes or no.
Yes or no. That's all I'm asking. She couldn't answer a yes or no question.
She couldn't. She coughed on the phone for minutes. I was just patiently waiting for her to say yes. And after a while, I said, so if my child is in your home, is this how you're going to treat me? She later answered she was the house mistress. But, I mean, even that, she didn't bring or give any details on the matter. So it was very difficult getting them.
That's serious, to say the least. And you know what's intriguing or quite concerning about this is Raphael Kofi Gobson is the National Secretary of the Council for Parents Association. And he's been listening to you. In fact, he's been on the telephone for quite a while now. Let's bring him in now. Mr. Gobson, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred Ocansey, and good evening for a great job you are doing for God and country.
I thank you very much. But you had raised concerns. In fact, we understand that the Parents Association of Abri Girls had already raised concerns about the health facilities and the state of those health facilities at the Abri Girls, even before the death of this student. I mean, how worrying is this incident for you, the PTA or the Parents Association and the National Council?
First of all, let me thank you for this great opportunity to reach out to parents across the country on basic issues that borders on the safety issues in our school, in terms of healthcare, in terms of how well our wards are being taken care of in our various schools, and how we can collaborate as parent-teacher associations to make sure that at the end of the day, our wards are in safe hands in the schools. And if the schools administrations have basic challenges that we can help complement their efforts to make sure that the schools are more safer for our children to be there, we can all be happy and say that, look, our wards are in safe hands. First of all, let me also take this opportunity to reach out to the family of our deceased child, Stacey Ochre, the family, and then tell them that, yes, we understand the pain and the agony they are going through because they had huge expectations for their daughter. And just to hear that the child reports to school and within a month, such a thing happened. I've read the story from your producer, and I kept on wondering if something happened around 12 p.m. midday. What kept the school administration watching and not taking precautionary measures or not taking decisive action to complement the efforts of the parents to make sure that our ward is in safe hands? And for that matter, the story being given by the teacher and the fact of the matter that the school administration has remained quiet and is not prepared to speak to the matter, leads much to desire and speak about the closed school system that we have been talking about, that the Ghana Education Service and for that matter, the Ministry of Education officials are compelling school authorities not to speak basic issues that will help all of us as a country to see whether our educational system, are there challenges that we can all together confront and fix it so that we can have an improved educational system for all of us. How on earth can the parents just be making these statements, whether they are allegations of facts or not, and we are not having any official statement from the school administration? That is not how schools are being properly managed. If the schools are public schools, public interest must drive whatever decisions are being taken in the school. And for that matter, the issues that have happened is clearly falls under general negligence of thought. And we all know that when a torturous act is committed, it comes with various breaches that have not been committed. For instance, I take my ward to the school. That's why we call the PTA, we call it PTA, because we and the teachers, it's just like life is mutual aid. We believe that one head does not go into cancer, and we alone cannot raise our children. And for that matter, when we take the children to the school system, we hand them over to school administrators and teachers. Some are given additional responsibility as house mistress, house masters, and it comes with certain basic support systems that we as parents are supposed to complement them. If government is not prepared to do those things, even though it is their responsibility to do, if they are not prepared to do it, we come in handy to support it. So if the PTA of the school are complaining that the health infrastructure system in the school is not the best and it needs to be fixed, and they've raised these issues, I don't know where they've gotten with it up to. But I know that the GES has a policy, the ministry through the GES has a policy that there should be sick-based across. If a Buri girl, one of the prime schools across the country, is facing this thing, then we cannot speak about schools in deprived areas, what they are going through.
The very important
so this is just a tip of the iceberg to tell us that there's a lot to do in the public system to make sure that there are a lot of challenges confronting the public school system that we need together as a country be bold to confront it and stop the populist politics of it. Taking the impression that all is well. If all is well, why is the school administration not speaking to this matter?
Indeed.
And I'm even hearing your journalist, the correspondent, saying that the headmistress or is it a house mistress fainted and was pretending that she was coughing and she wasn't well. Okay. Well, is she the only person who we can speak to in the school? Why is everybody avoiding speaking to this issue which has gained public interest? And if they are calling for a probe, I think that's a step in the right direction.
Fantastic.
Because everybody thinks that if my children should go to school and they are not sick, then where else can we look for safety for our children?
Absolutely. Mr. Gabson, I appreciate your time on this, and thank you for also lending the support of the National Council of the Parent Teachers Association onto this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred, and we thank you for God and country. Let's keep on doing this job for God and country.
Indeed. Raphael Kofi Gabson is the National Secretary of the Council for Parents Teachers Association, and as we speak, Aburi Girls Senior High School is silent on this. There hasn't been any statement from them. We've been knocking on the doors of the headmistress and the leadership of that school. They have declined us audience, but we're going to stay the steam on this matter until we get some answers for the family and also the families of these students who are there. You never know who's going to be the next victim of this. But thank you. Staying with us here on Hot Edition. We're going to go into business now. And Kwesi Asari is standing by with the latest in the world of business right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Are you stressed from a hard day's work? Looking to de-stress and relax over soothing music and soft chats? Then join Mia Kofa on Wind Down. 3FM. Keeping it cool, easy, nice and breezy like that. Okay, starting with Kenny Rogers. Write your name across my heart.
Write your name across my heart.
Every Monday to Wednesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and on Thursdays at 8 to 9 p.m. as I play your favorite songs on your favorite dial, 3FM 92.7. Wind Down with Mia Kofa, your smooth operator.
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
The desire to bring you the content that will help you make informed choices throughout the week pushes me to leave home early.
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiambofo, William Asiedu, weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
3FM 92.7.
It's 5:50. Welcome to the business news segment here on the Hot Edition. My name is Parkus Yasari. Coming up, Ghana Revenue Authority debunks claims of auctioning cocoa buds agrochemicals due to unpaid import duties. And economist Professor Peter Quartey critiques lack of local investment in Central Refinery. To our very first story now, and the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has responded to a recent news article claiming cocoa buds agrochemicals were being auctioned due to unpaid import duties. The GRA calls the article disingenuous and misleading, emphasizing that no such auction has taken place. Well, according to a statement by the GRA in April and May 2023, cocoa bud imported agrochemicals that overstayed at the state warehouse, leading to their inclusion in the uncleared cargo list. Well, despite the UCL status, considering their importance for cocoa buds operations, the GRA says it did not auction them, but restored them to cocoa bud upon request. Well, the statement noted that cocoa bud has fully paid the required import duties on these agrochemicals. Economist Professor Peter Quartey is worried Ghana missed the opportunity to generate substantial revenues from crude refining within the country by not investing in the Central Refinery. The recently commissioned Chinese refinery, valued at almost $2 billion, is expected to bolster Ghana's energy security.
Central Oil Refinery can process approximately 100,000 barrels of crude per day, sourced in part from Ghana's oil fields. While stakeholders have praised the introduction of the refinery, citing the prolonged inactivity of the government-owned Tema Oil Refinery, Professor Peter Quartey believes that Ghanaian involvement would have been preferred for optimal benefits.
It would have reaped greater part of the benefits if government had invested, or these are owned by Ghanaians. But if you have a foreign company doing this solely, then of course they will make the profit all right. We'll have some benefits, but will not derive the maximum benefit because some will have to repatriate it, and every capital, every investor who makes profits will certainly repatriate part of the profit.
He advocates for measures to encourage local participation as a means to mitigate fund repatriation out of the country.
If you want to minimize that, then you should also encourage local participation, encourage local entrepreneurs to also invest in some of this area, create the avenues. There are Ghanaians who have capital, they have money, but perhaps might not know some of these opportunities exist. So it is the role of the Ministry of Trade and Industry and government to make some of these bold steps, identify a few rich entrepreneurs, put them together, or banks, and let them finance some of these operations.
The Cybersecurity Authority has cautioned the general public to exercise caution and due diligence in their online activities ahead of the Valentine's Day celebration. According to the authority, over 3 million cedis was lost through online shopping and romance scams during the same period in 2023. That's all for the business news segment here on the Hot Edition. My name is Parkus Yasari. For more news, log on to our website. It's www.3news.com.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Sport here on a 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. We're going to start off from the African Games because Ghana's men and women's basketball teams have been camping in Cape Coast ahead of the games in the last 2 weeks. Now we have more in this report.
After missing out on the 2019 African Games in Rabat, Ghana's 3x3 male and female basketball teams have been preparing in earnest to make a mark in the 2023 edition in Ghana. The team, mostly filled with students from the tertiary level, began camping in mid-January at the Cape Coast Stadium, with the various teams going through multiple drills each day. Team manager Nana Edu Mankata II has been pleased with the help provided by the government in making this happen.
Everything has gone smoothly. For this type of camping, we think that the government has done very well, the ministry, and then our CDM who pushed for this campaign to come on.
The full story will be airing later tonight on News 360. Now, in local football, the GFA president, Kurtu Kreku, has revealed that he did not interfere in the work of the coaches who have worked under his tenure. Under his leadership, CK Akono, Otuado, Milovan Rajevac, and Chris Hutton have all worked as coaches at the Black Stars.
I did not interfere in the job of Charles Akono. Neither did I interfere in the job of Otuado. I think you heard Otto on numerous occasions speak about how we worked. And neither did I interfere in the work of Mr. Chris Hutton. They were our coaches, and any other coach who will be hired by the Football Association will be given the freedom, as always, to deliver.
That brings an end to the sports segment here on a 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and up next is entertainment with Akofa standing by.
Well, hello there, and thank you for keeping your dial locked on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It's now time for the entertainment news segment powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Now let's start with Links Entertainment. Now, Links Entertainment hosted its first dialogue aimed at inter-industry collaborations with top music executives, music and event promoters and marketers and various industry stakeholders. Some experts at the event lauded the initiative and called for more of such engagements.
Action and reaction, yes, obviously. If there's no problem, there's no solution. Obviously, we have a problem, which is at the end of the day. Let me give you one simple example. Ghana is the most easiest place to blow for free. I am telling you for free.
Aimed at finding lasting solutions to the many problems in the entertainment industry, Links Entertainment hosted its first dialogue over the weekend, which was themed inter-industry collaborations. On the panel were some top music executives, event marketers and promoters, A&R personnel, among others, who shared various opinions and presented solutions for a thriving entertainment industry in Ghana.
But what I'm trying to say is, the reason that people don't collaborate enough, the reason we don't work with each other enough is we don't understand shared value by the solution. I gave this example to it from brand value on bloggers with TV stations, media, musicians, actors, and everything.
And according to some experts, there's a need to have more professionals to work in various facets in the arts and entertainment industry.
Well, you heard there's some experts at the event lauding the initiative and calling for more of such engagements. Now to my last story. Musician Joe Boy, who recently launched his own record label, Young Legend, through a deal with Warner Music after parting ways with Mr. Easy's Empire Music, expressed gratitude towards his former boss on social media. In a post, Joe Boy thanked Mr. Easy for believing in him and taking a chance on his talent despite doubts from others. Reflecting on their 5-year journey together, Joeboy conveyed his appreciation and well wishes for Mr. Easy's future endeavors. Joeboy, during his successful 5-year tenure at Empower, released 2 EPs, 2 albums, and numerous hit singles and collaborations, amassing over 2 billion cumulative streams across digital streaming platforms. Now, under the Young Legend label, Joeboy assumes the role of CEO, nurturing the next generation of Afrobeat superstars on a global scale, following in the footsteps of industry icons like Olamide, Don Jazzy, and Mr. Easy. Now, that will be all the entertainment news here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. Thank you for your time. For more news, log on to 3news.com. The 3FM Drive continues.